Hello, friends. Welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. I'm going to share just one item with you today. It's a really big pickup, and for me, it's big in a couple different ways. I mean, obviously, when you see it, size is part of it. Value, it's significant within my collection. It's not one of the biggest items, but it's big. It's definitely noteworthy. It's something that's um, it's a big deal within the month or year or lifetime collection for sure. But also, what it is significant. One of my biggest, I feel like almost like the overarching pursuit for me is to try and find one of every Hall of Fame player, MLB player, playing days, ideally when even close to physically possible. So this was one that was always kind of out there. If you look for a playing days card of this player right now, you probably can't find one. And it's been an interesting uh, pursuit, and it's been a great find. And this is also coming off the heels of a video that John released last night, and um, it's an interesting one talking about the state of the hobby in the idea of long term longevity, collectability, values, hobby risk, different factors, shilling economy, um, the way modern cards are designed. I think what I would like to do is explore, um, some of those same discussions, but really focus it more around our community of the vintage aspect. I suspect those that are in the shiny kaboomy world are also the um, kind of entry level market, and not that it is exclusively. Of course, some of those are huge dollars, and those there's I'm sure wide gamut. But if you were to categorize, I think the vintage collectors are a different population, a different mindset, a different uh, demographic maybe to be studied, and so I think it'd be fun to kind of break some of those factors down. I run a business, and we kind of look at this things the same way. Of if X is going on in the world, how does that impact our little slice of what we need to do to be successful? And most of the things I say, like, is there an impact? Yes. Is that an excuse or explanation or reason to be overly concerned? No. We need to work around this. How do we get in front of the right people? And the right people is the key. And I think when you get into like vintage collecting, um, when there's 12 of something, I don't need to have 25,000 buyers that find that interesting. I need 13 to keep that price competitive. If it goes to 11, yes. Then if there's 12 of them, somebody doesn't even want it. As long as you have people out there that want it that can't quite get into it, you're going to have some competition, not shilling, but you're going to have some competition to keep things, um, price supported and demand at least reasonable. So maybe something we can explore down the road. I've talked about that. Um, I do always want my content, my channel to be kind of a hopefully breath of fresh air. I don't get into reporting and trends and things like that, but I do think some state of the hobby discussion, and especially coming from the educated, the kind of top of our hobby, is really really important. I don't consider myself in that group. That's why one of the reasons I avoid the discussion, but maybe just a collector perspective, someone that um, may or may not have some insights or some thoughts that are worth considering. But I do want to share this pickup. So sorry for that little bit of an aside. I don't know if it's appropriate or welcome or not, but I did want to just share some brief ideas, and I think we'll expand on that at some point soon. Um, Try and pull some good folks on with us, and maybe have a little roundtable type discussion on that. But this is what I added. This thing is going to be glary and crazy, quite potentially. So I'm going to try and keep it at some fun angles to see it. This is it. It is slabbed. The slab itself is cracked, even like chipping. I'm nervous. I've never cracked anything out. I have zero value to the slab, which I will say, precursor to discussion. I think grading is by far in our pocket greatest risk. Um, I'll leave it at that. But I believe grading is what's going to be the biggest impact, the biggest uh, bomb to drop within our segment of the hobby. A, how ridiculously cool is that piece? This falls right in line with the M101 twos and some of these other cabinet card type series of the era. Talk late 1800s, early 1900s. Some of these players, there's actually a couple of players I'm looking at that fall. They're kind of wedged in between T206 and Old Judge. They played in that gap of time, and so finding an item of them is going to be really tough. This player, Billy Hamilton, does have um, items within Old Judge. They are very, very pricey. Um, this wasn't cheap, but this is considered a 1899 to 2000 to 1900 Sporting News Supplement M101 1. So y'all know I'm collecting the dash twos, 3, 4, 5. I don't have a 6, 7. Good luck on an 8, and I have a 9. So completely crazy. This is my M101 1. It is my one and only Billy Hamilton. Maybe forever. I don't know. We'll see if, not that old. Maybe in 10 years I'll add something different. The back of this, instead of being blank back, is ridiculously awesome. That design makes an E120 look conservative and boring. Like there's just crazy design to it. But the write up, and I get it without it being too super glary. And if you're able to see this decent enough, screenshot, pause, whatever, it goes through the whole write up of his evolution, like where he lived, where he played, when he was traded, how he's done. So it's not so much stats, but it's really a neat little biography of Billy Hamilton. If you're not as familiar with Billy Hamilton, I will feature him at some point statistically, but one of the best base stealers of all time, one of the highest average hitters, really of all time. So different era, different grade, all the things, of course, but um, still an elite player as baseball was starting, beginning, and happening. And one of the players that was just kind of on that list of, how do I find one for this particular guy? Um, Interesting around the grading thing. So I found that popped up on eBay. Um, it never does. And I will also say, searching for Billy Hamilton items is really tough because of the fleet-footed modern playing Billy Hamilton. Reds, Royals. He kind of bounced around. He was a great base stealer, just like this Billy Hamilton. Um, but not exactly the same class of player to collect. So every time you search for Billy Hamilton on auctions and eBay's, whatever else, auctions you might have better luck at being this Billy Hamilton, but eBay or wherever else, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of modern stuff. So just to find a hit that was actually him was exciting. But this thing popped up and it was, what seemed to be, from what I could tell, again, these things don't move. There's no like comps really. Um, from what I could tell, it seemed like it was a reasonable price and it was our best offer. And I do tend to kind of go to bed at night and say, if I miss that, when's it popping up again? So things that move once a year, maybe you'll see it next year. Things that move once a decade, you're kind of like, well, I can either buy it in 2025 or, hopefully in 2035 it'll pop up again, but there's no guarantee it will, depending on who buys it. So sometimes I am probably less patient. I don't get the same deal that I would encourage my friends to get. I would probably say like, yeah, I might have jumped at that a little sooner. But there's not 12 of them. There's not 50 of them. I think there's somewhere in the single digits of that item is my guess. Maybe it hits double digits, but I'm not sure that it does. So I kind of went with that premise and said, initial asking price, the or best offer, I'm going to have to just ignore. I'm going to jump at it. So I did. I didn't necessarily look at who the seller was. So it goes off to authentication, comes back, cannot be authenticated, misclassified, whatever. I feel like I've had this happen a lot lately. Either it's called a card and they're not calling it a card, or it's in whatever. Maybe the slab was damaged. I don't know. But they just said can't authenticate it. Sent it back, refunded. So fortunately, I looked at who the seller was, and I was able to figure it out kind of through other sources. So we got in contact. It turned out to be just a little better deal on my end, a little better deal on their end. I think we both kind of won. It took a little bit of patience, a little bit of time. I was fearful I was just going to lose the deal altogether because, again, the price I think was fair. It wasn't amazing. It's nothing you'd be like, whoa, look at the deal this guy got. What it was look at the piece this guy got. For me, this just isn't coming around. Good luck finding one. And that's how it was for me. And that's what I would have said to myself. If I pass on this, good luck finding one. I'm going to guess I'll go to Strongsville, maybe the National. I don't remember seeing ones from this set very often, much less this exact one. So maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm silly. Maybe you see those constantly. There's the local card shows. But an M101 1 of Billy Hamilton or other Hall of Famers, let me know. So I guess without going too long, showing one card and it's taken me almost 13 minutes already. So let me wrap this and just say that I want to encourage everyone to be wise, but if you're truly in it for collecting, jump when you see a piece that you would regret missing. I don't think in 15, 20 years I'll regret having that in my collection, whether I overpaid by 5% or not. If you're going to overpay by 100%, wait it out. But if it's within realm, uh, jump, get your card, get your deal, and be smart, enjoy the hobby, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.